The Consumer Data Rights Scheme has recently been introduced by the government and is set to commence in February 2020. It's the government's attempt to introduce a level of competition, choice and portability around consumers' data. For example, it gives consumers the ability to change banks more easily, to have their data transferred to other organisations in the telco or energy industries, and to really have a little bit more say in terms of how their data is being used. The Consumer Data Rights Scheme will have two masters. It will be jointly regulated by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, as well as by the Information Commissioner, who will manage complaints. The CDR initially targets the banking sector. That will be closely followed by the energy sector as well as the telecommunications sector. But ultimately, the CDR will apply more broadly than that across all sectors with a consumer-facing outlook. The CDR impacts Australian businesses in two ways, and it depends on how you regard the introduction, whether you see it as a compliance challenge or in some ways an opportunity. So for those in the banking sector who are the first cab off the rank, the CDR presents a real opportunity to engage with your customers, to introduce a level of transparency around your information handling practices, and to wear more of a customer or consumer-centric hat when you deal with your customers. For those who perhaps take a glass half empty approach, they may see it as an additional compliance burden to be dealt with alongside mandatory data breach laws, which came into being last year, as well as the more recent CPS 234, which was introduced by APRA. So again, it depends on your perspective. I see the introduction of the CDR as very much an opportunity to engage with your customers and also to differentiate yourselves from within your industry. In terms of complying with the CDR, the first thing to do is to understand how it impacts your particular industry, your particular sector. So having an understanding of how that interacts with your current approach to privacy, your current approach to the implementation of CPS 234, your current approach to GDPR and whether that impacts your organisation also. Take the opportunity to review your broader data governance obligations and start to understand how the CDR changes will impact your current policy and governance framework.